If I ask you about Dorian Gray and then you say something to me about 50 Shades, get out. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. This quote by Oscar Wilde really does sum up his life. What can I say? But the man's life was spectacular and very much a soap opera. So, welcome back to my channel. I am Lisa and I upload every Wednesdays and Friday. For Pride Month, I am doing several figures from the queer community that I'm going to read and talk to you a bit about their life, and then I do some other fun videos on Fridays. So, I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you guys are not subscribed yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button right now. Because, like, what are you waiting for? Seriously? What are you waiting for? Because you can win a prize. And you get to be part of my community. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, the like button, give me a comment. Comment what your favorite Oscar Wilde quote is. And don't do this just for me. Do the likes, shares, subscribes, and comments for myself, for other YouTubers, your friends, your family, their small businesses, the mom and pop places. This is a free thing you guys can do to help people out, and it is really appreciated. So, don't forget to do that. All right, so we are going to talk about the soap opera life that was Oscar Wilde. I'm going to do a tiny reading on him because his life is kind of all over the place. Oscar Wilde was an Irish artist. So he did everything from poems to newspaper articles, playwrights, and fiction books. He was published all over the world, and his biggest book ever was The Picture, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Not to be confused with that 50 Shades crap. Okay? Alright, so Oscar was born into a very rich family. He was very close to his mother, who was also a writer, and also is where he got a lot of his energy and his chaotic nature from. His father was a ear and nose surgeon, and he also wrote books himself, but his books were more about Irish mythology and Irish folklore. So he was kind of keeping history of his people. Um, Oscar also kind of got the appetite like his father did, meaning that his father had a lot of illegitimate children, at least three, but it's the number is up there, so people don't really know how many illegitimate children that he actually had. So Oscar was one of three children. He had an older brother, and his younger sister unfortunately died at the age of 9 from meningitis, which ironically is what Oscar Wilde died of later, supposedly. This affected him. He did write about it. But overall, he was very closed off about the death of his sister. Wildes were wild. They were the top of the social circle. They were everywhere. And they made sure that their kids had the best of the best. So both Oscar and his older brother were educated at the same time. But younger Oscar actually ended up going above and beyond his brother's level before his brother graduated. So he was incredibly intelligent. He had a way with words, and he was very charismatic. He was wanted in every social circle. It wasn't a party, it wasn't a gathering unless Oscar was there or his family. And he remained very close to his mother and his father somewhat, but he unfortunately passed away due to I believe it was a surgery that went wrong. This is going to be a theme that you hear here. Um, Oscar, if y'all didn't know this, was married to a woman named Constance Floyd, and together they had two children. So I want to make it abundantly clear that Oscar's wife, Constance, there is no way in this world that she could not have known about her husband's sexuality. Because, because the tea is, Oscar moved his lover in. Yeah, yeah. How is that going to be on your Christmas cards, guys? And, this is the 1800s in, well, wherever they were at the time. I think they were in London at the time. Anyway, big deal. Being gay was still illegal at this point. So she definitely knew. And who was Oscar's lover? Well, he went by the name of Boise. Name was Lord Albert Douglas, aka Bosie. So Bosie was actually not a very good influence on Oscar, even though Oscar declared that Boise was the love of his life. In 1881, they met and started a very intense relationship. And Boise kind of brought Oscar to the red light district. Now, I'm not going to say that Oscar wouldn't eventually have gotten there because of, you know, he ran with all the big social circles. You can find this true then, even now. Usually dabbled in something kind of underworld or, kind of secretive or maybe scandalous. So, yeah, he would have eventually gotten there himself, but, Boise kind of helped him along. And let's just say they took part in Rent Boys. And I mean boys. And if you don't know what rent boys are, you're going to need to look that up, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, this is one of the things that scholars would argue about today is the age of the boys that Oscar and Boise were both with and paid for. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole in this video, but you can have all of your opinions. So, of course, word gets around. Places like London, they're a big, small town. And social circles and gossip and your status are everything. Everything. So, no one in particular was making a problem for Boise and Oscar until Boise's father stepped in. And let me get you this guy's name here because it is the Marquis of Queensberry. So the Marquess definitely did not like his son flaunting around the red light district and being with Oscar. He confronted his son on several occasions, and his son just said, "I don't care." Yeah, he really didn't. So what he did do was also confront Oscar. And Oscar basically told him off and was like, you want to go? We can go. But I'm not going anywhere. Not doing anything. Try to stop me. So the Marquise did what, I don't know. I guess what any person in a position of power and worried about their social status would have done back then. And they would have publicly accused Oscar Wilde of sodomy. Again, this is illegal. And for reasons unknown to anybody, Oscar decided to sue civilly the Marquis and for defamation of character because he said he was not a sodomist. This was actually the worst thing in the world that Oscar could have done, and nobody knew why he did this. So instead of being able to clear his name and be able to win a suit civilly against the Marquis, he ended up incriminating himself. And there were many people who paraded these young rent boys around and other people that Oscar allegedly had an affair with. Yeah. So when this trial was over, everybody knew that he was going to go to jail. Oscar's mother, his wife, his friends, and even Boise begged Oscar to leave. Get on a ship and go. But he said, no, I will stand trial. Should have left. Because the trial took place, and those are all on record to this day. There are books about the trial of Oscar Wilde, and you can probably find them in your local library. This was a show. It was a circus. And Oscar was not the ringleader. Sadly enough, he was found guilty of sodomy and I believe they called it crimes against humanity and indecency. The judge would later go on to say that this is one of the worst cases of indecency that he had ever seen. So Oscar was sentenced to 2 years in jail. Well, it's bad anyway, but back then, hard labor, they meant it. They could use any tactic to break their prisoner. And that included keeping them awake, making them sick, and starving them. Oscar was incredibly ill during his entire time he was in prison. His hard labor could be up to 20 to 24 hours. He was made to walk 6 hours at a time on a treadmill, and he did several things of hard labor for 2 years straight without adequate sleep or nutrition and no health care. He never recovered from his time in prison. He got sick and he never got better. His wife ended up leaving him during this time. While she stayed by his side for a very long time, she couldn't take the prison anymore. She took the sons, changed their names, and unfortunately, she died due to a botched surgery. Oscar was allowed to write one letter out of the 2 years he was there. And of course, that went to Boise. After prison, he did reunite with Boise and said something to the effect of, "There's the love of my life." But unfortunately, Boise didn't feel that way anymore. Things had changed, and Oscar's name was dirt. So Boise left, and Oscar ended up begging, penniless. And the last several years of his life, he lived in Paris and only survived on the help with friends. When he passed away, they said it was from cerebral meningitis. However, there have been many different theories on this. A little disgusting trigger warning fact: after Oscar perished was his body, well, it basically expelled everything from every orifice, which was very unusual. So, that is a tragic and strange, wild life of Oscar Wilde. I'm going to talk to you guys about body candy. Now, body candy is where I get all of my nose rings, and I absolutely love them. They have a great selection. I was really excited about the Halloween and Christmas stuff that they had, and I want to tell you a little bit about the customer experience that I had. So, I bought a really cute sunflower nose ring, and when I got it, it was broken. I mean, it was broke. I paid for it, and I was kind of pissed. So I contacted the customer service, and you know what they did? They refunded my money, and they sent me a brand new nose ring that replaced that sunflower. So I actually got the sunflower that I wanted replaced and got my money back. So if you guys are looking for any sort of body ring, nose, eyebrows, lip, whatever, go to bodycandyjewelry.com and use the code LisaTebrinke25 to get 25% off of your purchase. All right, so let's go into the reading. So the big question is why? Why? Why did Oscar decide that he needed to have a civil court case against the Marquis? I think the Eight of Cups, I feel like he was truly delusional. He really, really thought that he would be safe. He thought that he was going to be able to drag the Marquis's name in the mud, and he would be the one that got off scot-free. And he could go ahead and continue living the life that he wanted to with Boise. He wanted his knight in shining armor. He wanted his love. And in some weird, twisted way, this is how Oscar was going to do it. He didn't. I don't. How did you not know? I guess there were two directions that he could have taken, and he chose to take this one. The other direction he would have taken would to be abandon Boise and run. And I don't think he would have done that. He would have gone on to be the family man, to be the guy closeted and living a deplorable life. Not, I mean, deplorable meaning he really hated it, not meaning he would do something terrible, but he may have been one of those people who he would have been a tragic figure from his own hand, if you understand what I'm saying. He believed in justice, and he believed that he was the higher power. So I don't think Oscar had any other faith in anyone as much as he had in himself. And I think he truly believed that he was the high authority, and he was really convinced of his self-worth and his ego, and he really believed that he could talk himself out of anything, and just sadly that wasn't true. Fortunately, that lesson cost him his life. He definitely had many battles, many battles that he could have done through his life, but it kind of condensed into this one, and it was enough to completely break him. Now, he was really, there was some money behind this. I don't know where the money was coming from. This was something that I feel like Oscar was almost paid to do. Maybe this is something that him and the Marquis actually had worked out. Maybe the Marquis was supposed to pay him a certain amount of money to do this. I don't know. It feels like a setup, because the moon shows hidden dangers, and there were hidden dangers there, and he didn't see them. I think he did believe that things would go a different way because they were supposed to. I think either people were paid off or Oscar was paid to do something. He was paid to do this trial and didn't realize he would be the one with his back up against the wall and having to fight for his life. So it was a mistake. It was not foolishness, it was a mistake. He was led down a path that made him believe that he would be okay. It wasn't just his egotistical side to him. And I mean that in a loving way. It wasn't just his ego. He really he this was all for a reason, and it all was money driven. Um I don't know exactly how he passed away, and quite frankly, it was medical. There was no foul play there outside of the fact that he could never recover from being malnourished and the solitude and the hard labor that he had to do in prison. So I know that's kind of a short reading on him, but I feel like he had to work out this karma publicly. So he ended up, his soul worked out karma very, very publicly. So his next life, he would not have to go through this again. But for whatever reason, he needed to fall very far. I want to remind you of Alan Turing that I've spoke about and did a video about a few weeks ago. Alan Turing was pardoned in, I believe it was 2013 by Queen Elizabeth. There is now a Alan Turing Act, and Oscar Wilde was also pardoned under the Alan Turing Act of his crimes of indecency, his crimes against humanity, and homosexuality by Queen Elizabeth. So this all kind of ties together very, very interestingly. So that is my video on Oscar Wilde. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Again, let me know what your favorite quotes of his are. What were your favorite stories of his? Did you like The Portrait of Dorian Gray? Are you a fan of his poetry? Or do you just like his quotes? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, you guys have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. Remember, every single day is a gift. Use your time wisely, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.